if I can have all the presenters come up here and we'll do a Q&A. I do want to say one thing. If you look at all of us, none of us are in the government, so we did not create the rules. So don't come and start yelling at us about the rules. This is always my disclaimer. We are only going to tell you what they are, okay? So if anyone has a question, you want to raise your hand, Luke will be around.
I have the mic. Boom. First hand I see.
Once someone has entered prohibited status, how long do they have to fix it or face disqualification?
And you're talking about for the drug? Yes. For the okay.
To be honest with something like that, that's all under the fmcsa and all. Roadside, as far as enforcement, I mean, we're just looking at a prohibited status. If it shows up as prohibited, that's all we have to go on. But as far as how long and all, I think those regulations are set forth by the fmcsa, which I'm just not unaware because I don't make their paycheck.
I can probably speak to that a little bit. So there's a whole return to duty process in terms of like the time frame to do it. There is none. Driver gets prohibited, tests positive, gets it reported in 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They're still prohibited until that process actually completely plays out. So they have to go through a substance abuse professional, get cleared in the clearinghouse for them first. Then they get cleared for a return to duty test. That gets reported. Then we start the follow-up testing plan. There's still open violations in the clearinghouse on that driver. They're allowed to drive as long as that follow-up testing plan is being conducted. And it's always custom planned for every driver. If it's a repeat violation, the follow-up plan tends to be longer, and depending on whatever substance or the issue that was kind of done. So hopefully that explains a little bit more of that process.
I take care of a small handful of school buses, so some of our stuff is different than the mainstream. But you mentioned proof of periodic inspections. My understanding is it doesn't need to be documented if there's nothing wrong. Can you clarify that for like the purpose of a roadside inspection or even audit?
So when we're talking about that 396.17C violation, much like Pennsylvania requires the inspection sticker in the windshield. Okay, that's what we're talking. We're not talking about that post-trip inspection or the pre-trip. Does that work?
This is for Rebecca. The emission stuff. I know in the past, I guess deleted trucks haven't been much of an issue in Pennsylvania. Is 2027 going to change that?
I don't know the answers to that question. Does anyone else know if the 2027 rules are going to change that?
Not at this time that we are aware of. You're talking about deleting? Yeah, not at this time. I can tell you there is some local enforcement that's been going on for people that have been deleting it, and it's very well known. So, yeah, again, you can't delete it at this time. I know there is talks about the current administration trying to allow that at this point. You know, that has to go through all the regulations. So, not with the state troopers from what I know of, but I know the state inspection, the DEP is out there looking at that, and that's who has been giving the fines out to local garages and things like that.
Yeah, as far as the CARB requirements, I haven't heard that impacting anything related to, you know, the enforcement of the deleted trucks rules and things like that.
If I have a corrective lens restriction on my license and I wear contact lenses, how do you handle that if you look at my license and you see I'm not wearing any eyeglasses?
I'm going to ask you if you have
we had
corrective
two
lenses.
drivers in the past year that ran into a situation. They were both in other states other than PA, but we actually got a write-up on our record for one of those instances. He actually had LASIK done, but he still had that restriction on his license. I guess he should have had that removed.
It needs to be removed. Yeah,
But what if he still has contacts?
If you're wearing contacts, I mean, just basic procedure, I'm going to ask you, hey, you have a restriction, are you wearing contacts? That's all. you could usually tell. I'm not an eye doctor. I'm not going to dig so deep. I'm not going to sit there and do an eye exam, but you could usually tell when you have one. It's usually a question, are you wearing contacts? Yes, fine. But if the driver now does get LASIK surgery and it gets corrected, and they still have that restriction on the license, that's still going to be a violation. All right, only because it's still showing up in motor vehicle records that you're required to have those corrective lenses. So it's imperative once you get, the LASIK surgery or, you get whatever vision corrections, to get that taken off. Go right down to the motor vehicle PennDOT and get that removed.
Can I add something to that? I'm going to add something to that too. We see a lot of people think that they can just get it removed by going and getting a new medical card and having them say, that won't remove it from the license. You still have to go through a procedure. There is a special form. You got to get a provider to sign off on it and then go to the DMV and get that removed.
There's like a fee.
Yeah, and there's a fee to that as well.
I was going to save it and talk one-on-one, but I'm Anthony with the PMTA Safety Director, so on occasion I will ask questions on behalf of our members. So we have a member who has independent contractors hauling loads for them, and they were cited for a variety of violations, but the carrier was listed as the owner of the truck. The owner of the truck was actually the independent contractor. So he pled guilty to all of the violations at the MDJ level, which kind of prohibits our member from having their moment in court to explain that they were not the owner of the truck. So that creates a situation where all of those violations are hitting their scores when it should hit the actual owner of the truck. So they have filed the data queue. So I was going to touch base with you one-on-one afterwards for some guidance, but it probably impacts a few other people in the room as well.
Yeah, and that's not my wrong carrier. That will fall on the wrong carrier. I don't handle those data challenges, but the score, it's whomever is responsible for the load is going to wind up with those violations. If there's separate citations, unfortunately, a lot of times, people just go to court, they plead guilty. That takes away a lot of leeway that we have as far as looking into that data challenge as well, because you just pled guilty, basically. It's difficult to turn it over. Your case is a little different because it's involving an owner of a vehicle and all, but that's a wrong carrier. You can still talk to me afterwards. I could still get you some more, and it'll be a little bit more in detail for you, okay?
Awesome. Well, if there's no one else, we still will be up here, and we also have all the vendors that you still can go around to, but we'll be up here for a Q&A if you didn't want to ask in front of the group. Thank you for coming out. Ryan has one last thing.
One more thing I just want to quickly add. We recognize that though we're talking pretty heavily today about the work that's happening on the road, we know there's many moving parts to keeping your business moving forward. In addition to all of our technical services that we have, we recognize that you have new leaders. You have HR departments. We have an 11-week new manager or new leader series that we offer in-house to our employees that is ready to go. If you have a new manager and you want to make sure they have the manager chops to not just do work faster or work differently, but to actually lead people. We have some version that can be done strictly online. We have a version that's hybrid where part's online, part we can come out to you, or we can do virtually. We will tailor our services to what you need. So if that's something that interests you, reach out to us. It's something that I designed and have used within our own company, and it's ready to roll. So we're excited to serve you in that way too.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you to our marketing department, our marketing team for setting this all up and doing all the videos and all the sound system and online. Thanks for everyone online that was joining us. And we'll see you again next year.